Awesome. So, all right. Hey, I'm serious about the 20 minutes, so let's dig right in. What is your what's the main thing that you would like to get out of this 20-minute time?
Really, I'm trying to take my program to the next level. This will be my fourth year coaching this particular school, this particular team. And my first year, we had a very competitive team, championship level team, and fell just tiny bit short. And then, 2 years ago, we had the pandemic and lost another championship team. And then I had several of those players graduate, move on. Last year was a rebuilding process, and I had one or two top players left. And then, moving forward, it's going to be some of the elite players that I've had in the past won't be, I won't have that same level of player. So I'm trying to maintain our elite status and elite level by kind of just building a foundation, building a program, and kind of take my average or good players and, just hang in there as best I can.
Awesome. So we have some people who are watching this live right now. So you get to watch, you get to see, how this process goes when somebody calls in
Okay.
and we have a 20-minute thing. All right. So that's for the people who are watching. Maybe somebody will ask a question, but I'm going to ignore those. I'll circle back and answer people's questions
Great.
on social media that are watching live. But all right. So the main issue is how to handle a transition really well.
Yes, and I want to make sure that I'm maximizing my practice time. We don't have any facilities on our campus. We're kind of landlocked. We're an academic powerhouse. We're the top school in the state of Kentucky in terms of academics. Most of my players, they're going to go on to do great things in college academically. I usually have maybe one or two players that want to play in college, but most of my players, their number one goal is academics. So
All
with our
right.
limited courts, we only have 3 courts that we get to practice on. So, and I have huge numbers. So this past year, I had 37 players come out for the team, and I had it broken up with JV and varsity. But I want to dwindle those numbers down. I'm going to start having some cuts to limit those numbers, and I really just want to make sure I'm balancing the number of players I have and maximizing my court time and court space to get the most out of
Okay.
our practices.
All right. So, I'm hearing a lot of different things, and so um, for me, a lot of it has to do with the foundations of your coaching philosophy. So, do you have, can you in 30 seconds tell me what are your core principles?
Well, starting off, I want to make sure that we are a team that represents the school and our families to the best of our abilities. We want to make
Okay.
sure that when we leave a facility, leave a match, the other team um, feels like they got a fair match. We didn't we
Okay.
played within the rules. We played our hardest, and
Okay.
we make sure that we leave a good impression.
Okay. Okay, good. So the ambassadorship, the integrity, and
Yes,
the effort
number one.
level. All right.
Yeah,
All right.
by
So
far.
um, my 4 pillars are one, give give the effort.
Right.
Number one, 100% effort always. Enjoy the competition. So there's an ethic of having fun and making it enjoyable, and that it's about the competition. Okay. So this is one thing that I think really frees kids up to go all out is when they realize that the coach really wants them to enjoy it. It's not always so incredibly serious. We're going to have
Sure.
some
Yes.
fun. We're going to tell some jokes. There's going to be a ridiculous opponent that we're going to make fun of privately. Um, all these different little
I've lost your audio.
to have fun.
There we go.
Yeah, I'm having a problem that I'm having a
We're back
call
now.
coming in. So
Oh, okay.
I'm going to turn my phone off now. So that interfered for a second. Uh, so no, the ultimate thing is it's a game and we're supposed to have fun. And
Sure.
and to me, um, this is one of the huge things that's created motivation where my players will run through brick walls for me because I'm not putting a lot of pressure on them. I'm freeing them up. It's going to be fun. We're going to go all out, and we might win or we might lose a squeaker at the end, but we're going to lay it all out there and we're going to have fun with it and all that. Um, so now, how's the buy-in with the kids that are coming in? Are they feeling excited because they get to move into that next level, or are they feeling a little fearful because good players are gone and now it's on them and they feel like it's all going to fall apart?
I think they're very excited. I think that there's been several of them this off season, this summer, that have taken, a role. I've challenged them all to physically get, bigger, stronger, faster during this off season, and to play as much as they can, but also take time away, have fun with their families. I'm trying to balance. Balance is a huge thing. I know you talk about in your book, and that's something that I always try to promote. Balance with the game and balance with, resting your body, trying to prevent those injuries. You see it all the time now in sports where guys are breaking down just because they're spending too much time focusing on one sport or one thing. So I have a good feeling about the players that are coming back now. I really just want to fine tune everything that I'm doing
Hmm.
and make sure that they are getting the most out of their game once the
Right,
season, once we get
right.
into the heart of the season. I want to make sure I'm doing my job as a coach, that they have the weapons to compete at the highest level.
That's awesome. So, one of the things that I have learned from studying great, great coaches is how they do such a great job of building up each individual athlete. You know, the Oakland A's manager, Bob Melvin, is really amazing at getting a guy to bat five points higher and
Right.
maybe make one less error a month. And
Right.
just so these just little things. So, one thing that you could do is go to each player and identify their number one strength and their number one weakness. Or no, I don't even call them weaknesses, but area of improvement.
Right.
So, let's say a kid's got a good flat serve, but they're not necessarily placing it that well. So you could go to that kid who's got the big flat serve and go, okay, well, I want you to move it around the box a little bit more. Pick different targets, right? Or you
Right.
could take that kid and go, okay, sometimes, so don't hit it 100% as fast as you can when you're hitting the flat serve, but just save a little bit more for a big point. Change speeds on it a little bit. So just find a nuance for a kid and his strength, right? Maybe a kid's got a really good inside out forehand, but now challenge them to move faster, quicker, to get in position farther over so that they don't have to hit as many backhands. You know, find some little incremental thing that way. And I like to start with strengths because when you focus on your strengths and you focus on using your strength against someone's weakness, then it's a really good confidence builder.
Gotcha.
Then go to them and look at their area of improvement that they might need. And generally for me, it's in high school, it's almost everybody's backhand.
Right.
So when I'm working with backhands, the number one thing I want to see is can they take their backhand and hit it deep cross court to the other kid's backhand? If they can do that, then they're not going to be as easily hurt by it. But if
Right.
they're taking the backhand and they're laying something up into the middle of the court for somebody to hit a forehand to, then they're dead.
Yeah.
So one thing, and a lot of times it's a kid's second serve, right? They don't
Right.
they don't have a lot of confidence in their second serve. So if they can learn to spin that thing in deep and hit targets, and even move their second serve around a little bit in the box to become a little bit less predictable,
Right.
then the other kid can't tee off. So, like one of my big things with my teams is, you know, before they hit a second serve, I want them to be thinking deep to the backhand.
Right.
And that helps them, gives them a positive thought to think before they go into hitting it, instead of thinking, don't double faults.
Right.
Because when somebody says to themselves, don't double fault before a second serve, I think their success level's under 50%. And even if they are successful, they're just,
Right.
they feel like they're swinging the 15-pound racket, So, um, so yeah, I mean, so that's another thing. Another really big piece is that belief thing. Hey, it's your turn. Those other guys went through this process. Tell the stories of kids who came before. So,
Right.
I get accused of being egotistical, but the funny thing is, none of my stories are about me.
They're about your players, right?
They're all about my players. But
Yeah.
for whatever reason, some people go, "Oh, you're so egotistical." I'm like, "Well, I'm not even talking about myself, so I don't know what
Sure.
you're talking about." But when you tell these legendary stories of the people who came before, right? There was this junior, there was this senior, and when they were a sophomore, they did this, and then their game grew, and then they became league champion, and then people go, "Oh, wait, I can relate to that." And there's an interesting motivational thing that happens and it goes unsaid, is that they will want their story told by to the people who came after.
Right.
I want to become one of Coach's stories, but don't ever talk about it. It's a but it's a really interesting thing, and it helps spawn that belief, because that's going to be the number one thing, is do they believe that they can have that continuity? Um, truth be told, my teams have gone through pretty major transitions of, we had a championship team, and then, some kids decided not to play the next year, and we ended up being a fifth place team, having been a championship team the year before, and
Right.
had major chemistry issues because of some kids that weren't really team players. But then they quit the team under, with a lot of encouragement from me. And then the next year, that culture came back, and we actually really exceeded expectations. And a team I didn't believe could be better than fourth place ended up tying for a championship. So, you know, there there will be some kind of transition, but obviously, yeah, you want to get the most out of it. All right. So, did did you feel like, is there more answer that you want than that?
Well, I guess the one, if I had to ask you one question, it would
Okay.
be, um, at the high school level. When we're going through our season, what two or three match strategy tactics do you feel like are the most beneficial for the kids to kind of master throughout the season, that gets them over the hump in that big match?
This is so funny because, you know,
Is that
people
what every
like,
coach wants to know?
no, no, this is hilarious to me because it's like I'm a lizard out there. I'm like a goldfish spitting out the poop out of my mouth repeatedly, you know? So, here's the funny thing. People make a big deal out of these generational shifts,
Right.
between generations and the markers. But I've been coaching 30 years. Teenagers are the same.
Yeah.
They're the same. They have not changed, you know, and they need reminders. They need the adult who has a complete cerebral cortex to help them complete their cerebral cortex. So they're a little slow on the uptake. So I'll tell you what, one of my greatest teams, before every single match, I would tell them this: remember, get your first serve in, build your point cross court,
Right.
wait for a short ball to get creative.
Yeah. I remember that from your
Okay,
book.
wait for
Big thing.
wait
Yeah.
for a
Right?
short ball
Wait
or
for your
or an
short ball.
inside ball to get creative, because you can have all this fancy fancy schmancy stuff,
Right.
but the core principles of how to win a tennis match are still get your first serve in, hit cross court a lot, wait and be patient, wait for an opportunity. And then from there, then they play their game, so to speak. I
Yeah.
mean, some kids want to come to the net, some want to hit some angles, some want to go for a big ground stroke winner. Um, Lots of different ways. So I would say, um, I think the one thing that people don't realize is that anybody can learn how to serve and volley. You know, so I teach all my kids how to serve and volley, and in certain matches, I will ask them all to serve and volley on the very first point of the match,
Just to
and
get in your opponent's head.
it freaks them out. It
Yeah.
freaks them out. And if your kids serve and volley like 4 or 5 times in a match, like when it's 40-15
Right.
or 40 love, or at the beginning of a game, or when they're down love 40. You know, if they come in, if they serve and volley like 4 or 5 times, I guarantee you the other kid's gonna go, "Oh man, he was a serve and volleyer," because that's
Right.
how teenagers operate, right? And it
Right. Right.
freaks them out. And then a funny thing happens. You serve and you kind of like take one step in, and then all of a sudden now you're getting a short return. They start thinking passing shot. So setting that tone of having them serve and volley just a little bit then sets up this unconscious, subconscious need to think about hitting a passing shot as the return. And now you're getting low, short shots for your first shot that you can attack.
Right.
I mean, it's really one of the funniest things ever. Now, with less accomplished or slower players or people who lack confidence, in doubles, I do this thing where we say serve and pressure. So all they really have to do is serve and go 1, 2, 3 and break down. And they're going to have to take a lot of balls as half volleys.
Half volleys. Yeah.
But the thing that I do is I show players how scary it is when the opponent's coming towards you.
Right.
You take 3 steps in, that other player, I mean, even if you walked in and took 3 steps, you're closer and it just
Right.
looks a lot more frightening. So yeah, I would say in general, use proximity pressure. Move towards people and they get scared.
Gotcha.
So, so that's a very general thing that can be applied in a lot of different ways.
Right.
Um, Another cool thing is slice.
Yeah.
It's not used enough.
Yeah.
People make fun of it. Uh, if you, I guarantee you this: if you put 2 people on this side and 2 people on that side, and you say you two can only hit topspin and you two can only hit slice, 80% of the time the slicers are going to win the game.
Hmm.
Because a lot of kids have been taught to hit good topspin, but only against other top spinners.
Right.
You get a nice low slice, and that ball's going to in the net because they don't know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
So, all right. So we have 2 minutes left. You have a final question, or you want me to answer something more deeply?
No, those were awesome. So I guess the final thing would be in terms of just on the management side. So let's just say for this upcoming season, I break it down to, a 12 kind of varsity roster and a 12 JV roster. And I have those 3 courts that I can use, 5 days a week. If I'm going to be competitive at the varsity level, do I just basically give that time? It's 3. What I've been doing is kind of a 3 days for varsity, 2 days JV kind of split. Should I
Mm.
just go ahead and give that 5 day,
It's a hard
time?
thing to answer quickly, but my thing is it sucks to be JV.
Right.
So sorry, you're JV.
Right.
These varsity matches actually count for something.
Exactly.
So I would just say really prioritize varsity, especially in the early going.
Okay.
Maybe don't even start your JV team playing until a weekend, so that you can really build into your varsity. And then once your varsity's like in the groove and they've got the routine down and all that, then you can bring the JV in and you can repeat that process with them and get them in the groove. Um,
Gotcha.
so, yeah, I mean, generally my lower level players are feeling pretty neglected for the first couple of weeks, but I just, reassure them that it's like, hey, I just need to get the top guys going and in the groove, and then they'll be a lot more autonomous. Tell your varsity guys, hey, once we get through this, I'm expecting you to maintain these routines with minimal supervision. I don't
Right.
want to have to come back here and crack the whip on you guys,
Right.
you know? So consider that the time that I get you going is cool, but then I also need to work with the JV because they're the future of the program,
Right.
right? I have to get them ready for future years. Um, Another thing I do too is I like to look a couple years ahead because I don't like to have like a starting singles group that's all made up of seniors because then you have to replace them all,
Right.
you
So
know?
this upcoming season, I mean, I'll be playing juniors and sophomores mostly, so it'll be a young group.
So that's looking good for 2 years from now for
Yeah.
sure, right? But
Right.
then
Right.
next year you're going to want another sophomore or a freshman in that starting
Right.
singles group or whatever.
Right.
So you have that continuity, and all that experience starts to pay off.
Right.
So, all right. So, what would you say are your top 2 or 3 takeaways from this time, Ken?
I love the kind of just confirm some of my beliefs that I already had in terms of the tactics and strategies and being real simple with it, but just making sure that you just lay that foundation and you stick with that, and then the belief, making sure the kids believe in your philosophies and take those forward, and effort being the number one thing, and then the belief. So I'm going to make that the backbone of our program and see where it takes us. Thank you very much for your time. I really, really appreciate it.
All right. What's your the mascot of manual tennis?
So we are the DuPont Manual Rams or Crimsons. We have two.
Okay.
So
All right. Go Rams, go
go Rams.
Crimsons.
Go Crimsons. There you go. Thank you.
All right. Take care. All right.
All right.
Bye-bye.